Thursday. Welcome to Design Reveal Day. I'm Paula from Desert Cat Creations, and I'm glad you're joining me today. Today we are going to make a clasp, and we are going to use it in a design, which we're also going to use a toggle clasp, jump rings, Heishi beads, and inspiration from sea life. So, thanks for joining me. Hey, Janelda, nice to see you. All right, so you know what? We've actually had rain the last 2 days in Tucson. We need it, but we had a big hailstorm yesterday. It was probably grape-sized hail, I would say. You know, some people are saying pea-sized, but it definitely was bigger than that here. So that was our excitement for the day. And then last night we had thunderstorms, and it was raining when we woke up this morning. We really need it, but yeah, it's kind of all at once, and we're still getting more this week, but that just means everything will do better in the spring, and I get lots of cactus blooms to look at, right? So, and those of you who follow my bobcat sightings, we had one walk through our backyard this morning, so that was exciting. And we had 2 days ago, we had a mom and a baby walk through our front yard. So, so they're out and about this time of year. I love seeing them because I don't have like an outside animal that I have to worry about. So, and they're probably more scared of me than I am of them. But anyways, let's see, announcements. So talked about what we're going to make today. We'll do that in a couple minutes. Sunday will be on our regular time. It'll be a surprise project at this point because, we're done making our kits. All right. So hopefully you got a chance to join us last week, for our prickly pear kit, demos. That video is over on YouTube as well as Facebook for, 28 more days, I guess, 20 something more days. Hey, Lorraine, welcome. So I will be running a Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, all that sale. I think I'll start it a little early. I'm going to start it probably next Sunday. I haven't totally figured out what percentage I'm giving you, but it'll be nice. And then I'll probably have an extra free gift, which I'm working out for, orders over a certain amount. Okay, so I will get that announcement out to you. Definitely announce it on Sunday, and like I said, I may start it on Sunday, probably run it for a couple weeks, maybe further into the month of December. I will be gone part of December, so I won't be shipping during those times, but we will work with you as we can. So, all right. Hey, Lorraine, I think my coffee hasn't taken today. It was funny. Both my husband and I are like, did I do that? Did you do that? So we both decided we need more coffee, and I didn't have any yet. So who knows? This could be a very exciting project as my brain attempts to function. So anyways, all right, that's enough with the announcements. Let's get started. I'm going to flip it over. And for some reason my desktop seems crooked right now, and I don't really know what I did, but hopefully it'll be straight enough. So let me move all my cacti out of the way. So today we are going to make our own clasp, which means we need some wire. So I'm going to use some 18 gauge wire because it'll hold up a little better, or be a little stiffer. I also, often like to hammer my clasp, but we'll see with the design I'm going to make today. And I'm going to do a little wrapping on it. I decided just to be a little different, and we're going to use some 24 gauge blue wire on our design. So we'll see how that goes. All right, and then we have to use a toggle clasp. So I just pulled out another bar's in here. There it is. A very simple toggle clasp, and you'll see how we're going to use that. Then I have to use Heishi beads. So I am going to use these clay Heishis. This particular colorway is from our beachy bead mix. So we're going to use that today. That bead mix was put together by Beadoria and Stars Beads for us. It has a lot of different things in there. So if you like blues and teals and stuff, you would probably enjoy that little mix. All right. Then we have to use jump rings. I was going to pull my rest of my jump rings out. I need to do that. So I have a charm that we're going to attach with a jump ring, and then actually I do need to pull out those. I don't know why I put them away, but I did. Let's see. All right, so I'm just going to use some small steel jump rings. Yeah, I like to use steel jump rings because they're stronger. They don't pull apart as easily. These are actually left over from a project, so they're probably like 3mm, 4mm jump rings. Anyways, we're gonna use those. And then our design is going to be inspired by sea life. So, like I said, I'm using my beachy bead mix. So we've got all those colors for the water. I have a little seahorse charm, which came in somebody's bead mix. I want to say Soft Flex, maybe, the turtle one. But I've also got some other beads I'm going to use. I have some seahorse beads. I have turtles and glass. I have glass fish and metal fish. And I have a little clam shell here. And some lava rocks. The lava rocks are also in our beads are also in our mix. So we've got a selection to work with from there. But, we'll start with making our clasp. I am going to make just a hook and loop clasp, but you can make your own toggle clasp, okay? So I think I showed you this last time we had to make a clasp, but so I made a big loop and kind of wire wrapped it. Now, I started out by also wire wrapping, a bar to put through there. So you got to make sure your bar is wider than the, sticks off to the sides a little bit. It doesn't have to stick out as far as this one does, because you want it to be secure, right? Now, the other thing you have to take into consideration if you're creating your own one, though, is it has to fit through here. So, see, this bar does not work. It's too big for that loop. But this one, which is slightly smaller, and I have a much shorter shank on here, does fit through. So, I can pull it through and up. Now, I would have to make sure I have something, not a big bead if I'm going to use this, because I got to be able to pull part of the bracelet through here to get this ring all the way through. But it would be nice and secure afterwards because this bar, you know, more than covers the diameter. So just, you know, I'll probably make a toggle clasp live one of these days, but that has to just sort of be our project because it is a little time consuming. But I think what we're going to make, like I said, is a hook and loop. So I made this sample and I used colored wire. I just used a, you know, spiraled around here. Now, in this particular case, I cheated a little bit. It's not really cheating, but I have a tool that helps make coils. So I made the coil separately and then I just slid it on there. So it's crushable though, so you have to be a little careful. Hey, Marionica. But we're going to wrap directly onto our wire today, okay? So, all right, so let's get started with that. So to make the, we'll do the loop first. I think about 3 or 4 inches of wire is good. Oh, you have one of those twisting tools. You know, I hadn't pulled it out in a long time, but I decided to pull it out and make my life a little easier yesterday. So I used to make a lot of, I don't know if you ever, who is it, Wendy Wimmer? Something like that. Has a book that's on making links, and I actually was fortunate when she put that book out to take a class from her at Stars Beads, no less. So I think that's when I got that tool, because it does make it so you can, you know, really decorate those links and wire a lot faster. But you do have to, if you're using the tool, you have to work with 16 or 18 gauge wire, because that's the smallest. It's the smallest. I keep wanting to say anvil, and I know that's not right. I don't know. The smallest thing that you wrap it around. Mandrel. That's what I'm looking for. The smallest mandrel is really designed for about 16 gauge wire, but you know, you can use it with 18. It's just a little squishy. All right, so we're gonna make our loop. So I'm gonna start just by making the loop that's gonna attach to my design. Now I could make an open loop here, but I'm going to use a wrap loop just so it's a little more secure. So we'll start with our 90 degrees, and then I'm using my wire working pliers today because I am using this 18 gauge wire. And then I'm just going to pick, you know, a nice size loop so that I can wrap that around. And I am going to use my pliers. You have the one from Beadalon. Maybe they have smaller mandrels, but the one I got, I don't remember exactly where I bought it from. I may have bought it from the teacher, I think. It's 3 mandrels, but they're pretty big. So I think the 2 bigger ones are more for making jump rings than for spirals, okay? But you could make fancy beads. All right, so I put a ring in one end, and now I am going to wrap some wire. Oh, so I did have this big ring here, which I think I made afterwards that could be used with my big bar that I made, but we're doing something a little different. So see, I'm just opening this, so see if I can find the correct end. So we're going to use some blue wire because I think it's going to look really nice with the ocean theme and the beads today. I have not used this wire yet, so finding the end. There we go. All right. Now I could just pull off a really long piece and wrap it. So I'm going to need enough to go around the loop. Yeah, this one's sort of, well, it doesn't have a crank. You have to do it all in your hands, but all right, so I need enough to go around there. So I'd say that's about 1.5 inches of wrapping. Like I said, I think I'm going to wrap off of the spool so that, let's see, I don't know which way is easier. All right, so I'm just going to wrap it and push it down. This is 24 gauge wire I'm using. You can wrap with 22. With the tool I used 22 because it's it helps you, but it takes longer. All right, so I am just wrapping and then periodically pushing it down so it's tight. You don't want to wait too long before you do that, or it's a lot harder to, but you'll see we're wrapping along there. Beads attacking me here. All right, I think I want to go a little longer. Maybe not too much. So I find that loops are usually require more wire than I think they will, so. Let's see how much. All right, so that's about 1.25 inches. So let's see if that works. So what I'm going to do is I am going to slide this down a little bit. I'm going to wrap this end where I started because I needed some to hold on to, but you could just trim it and tuck it. I'm of the don't waste it, it's already there, so I am going to wrap it on there. All right, now I want to leave a little space because basically this is a big wrapped loop, okay? But I am going to grab my wire and I am going to turn it out a little. And then I will use my 6-step looper, and I'm going to use the largest loop. So I want to set my wire, my wrapped wire, right in that V I made. And now I'm going to just gently wrap this around. Oh, and I think we did just about perfect there. All right. So let's going to trim my blue wire side. And I'm gonna tuck that end in real quick. All right, so see what we've got here. And now I'm just gonna pull it the rest of the way so it tightens up where that is, and we are just going to wrap around this base here, basically until it meets up with the other wrapping. Okay. And I'm just gently squeezing it so I can get it to settle in right next to that. And all right, we've got our ring of our clasp. Now, if it gets bent a little out of shape, you can put that on back on your mandrel. May not fit since I tightened it up, so might have to go to the next smaller one, which is significantly smaller. But, you know, I think it's nice and stiff. All right. So now we want to make our hook to go through there. So again, I am going to I don't need a huge long hook, and I only need to put a small loop at both ends, but I will go ahead and cut maybe. And if I was doing a necklace, I'd probably make it a little bigger. So I cut a piece of 2.5 inch wire here. And I'm going to put, again, the small loop at one end that we're hooking our design to. And I'm going to hold that loop, and I'm going to use my other pliers to wrap this around. And since it's such a little short piece, I have to force it, but you know, as long as it goes all the way around, it's not going anywhere. All right, now we're gonna wrap that again, just because we're adding the little color to our design. So I am going to hold a small length of wire here, and we're gonna wrap it around a couple times just to get her going. All right. So you just want that edge to hold on to. Again, you're just gonna keep wrapping and then push it down. I find, you know, 6 to 7 reps before I push works for me. If you get too much and you're having troubles pushing it, you can use your pliers to gently push it down. And here it's really just deciding how long or how big you want the loop. So I mean, this one, is not too long, because, you know, again, since I'm doing a bracelet, I don't want it too long, but I think I need it a little longer than I have it at the moment. So just if you make, the longer you make it, the less other stuff you can add to your bracelet, right? All right. I think that's long enough. All right, so you always being able to do it with, you'll get there, Janelda, I'm sure. Good news is your hands were probably nice and strong before you had your break, so. And then I'm pushing the wire a little bit up so I can tuck this other end in. You just get lots of stringing done right now, Janelda, just not wire work, huh? No chainmail, obviously. All right, so I can either make this flat. I did on this one just because I wanted it to sit a little differently. So I can choose to wrap this basically whatever direction I want to go, make it as big or as little. So, you know, if I want to make it sort of streamlined, I'm just gonna, it might be too high. I'm using my chain nose just so I can just adjust it however. And I've got that loop there. Probably could have, I could still, thinking I could have done that a little closer. I kind of like it so that my my design ends up, or the end of my hook ends up even with the circle. Yeah, I'm actually going to use these, I think. Now I'm ending up using the second biggest, but I could probably get by with the next smaller. Oh, wow. $16 gauges are hard when you're 16 gauge rings, jump rings are hard even when you're not coming off a broken hand. All right. So we've got a hook in there, like I said, a loop. And now I just want a small circle at the end here. So I'm going to trim this just because it'll make it easier. And I'm using my 6-step looper. And we are just making a tiny loop here, and it's not. All right. I'm going to use this one, my concave pliers, because it's easier to close, I'm just making a closed loop here, okay? But right now, it's not cooperating with me, all right. Yeah, that's fine. So normally I would have just left that loop without the wrap on there, but that's how it's going to be because that's how it ended up. All right. So remember, this is 18 gauge, so it's pretty stiff. So here is our clasp. So, all right, so we made our clasp, and now we're going to use it in our bracelets. So I won't need any of the heavy duty tools for the bracelet. So we're just going to pile those all up there. Oh, and so how am I going to use two clasps, you ask? You ask questioningly. You know, a lot of people sometimes end up using the toggles for other things, right? So then you have a straight bar. I don't know, you know, I haven't figured out a use for the straight bar, but we're not going to use the bar. We are just going to use the toggle. So I thought I would maybe string a bead in there and make it a dangle off my bracelet. So let me grab just a smallish piece of wire since I have the blue out here. All right, so I'm just going to wire wrap this to the ring. So I'm going to start by at the bottom, just wrapping around the ring a couple times. And I'm going to use my pliers. Yeah, so this is how we're using the toggle in here. I had actually thought about making a bracelet that had two clasps just for fun. All right. So I've got that there. I'm going to now I'm going to just wrap this wire around the top here. And I'm going on both sides of the connector ring just so that it will stay centered. So yeah, I was going to do that, but like I said, the toggle, making the toggle is not it's not quick, so I wasn't quite ready to tackle that today for some reason. But all right, let me just trim this, and actually I'm going to stick it through and then trim it. All right, so we've got our anyway, we've got a bead and our toggle, so we're going to make it a little dangle. We've also got our little horseshoe dangle, so let's quickly get the rest of this bracelet assembled. All right, so let's lay it out. You know, Janelle, I was going to figure out how to really make a small toggle. So, now, I guess I could make my own ring and use this this toggle, this leftover toggle, so there we go. That makes the middle attachment loop would be a gel. Yeah, it could be. So, all right, so I'm going to put this nice little turtle guy in the middle. Then I was thinking I would put some beads. I don't know if that's going to be long enough or if I need beads. I have no idea what I just dropped, but I think that's going to be long enough. I think we'll put a bead at both ends, and then what we're going to do is fill in the gaps with hay sheets. All right, so we are going to pull out our soft flex. And I think it doesn't really matter which end I start from. So I'm not measuring these. I'm just gonna stick a few on there. Oh, oops. These are sideways fish, so they take up less room. All right. Well, that will mean I'll need more beads, right? But somewhere in here, I actually had a, oh, there it is. I had a bead to put next to my turtle. So I am just grabbing some beads. Now I also need to decide where I'm going to put my dangles. So I can put my dangles, you know, like around my center or around the clasp. I think around the clasp helps keep your bracelet so the top side is up, right? So I think I'm going to do that. That was too many. All right, so I am just stringing stuff. Now, with this turtle, I mean, we've talked about this before. I am putting a little spacer bead here to go in between his back feet so that I don't have a gap in there. You know, I don't want to, not that the wire isn't, silver wire isn't pretty, I just don't want wire sticking out of there, so. And since some of my beads have, you know, only go one direction, this is where you make the choice of whether you want everything to go in the same direction, because, you know, I could have all the heads facing the same way, or I can switch in the middle to having the heads go opposite directions, which is what I was thinking of doing. All right, let me see. We need a little more I may need to add some beads before I add the clasp on the other end, but we'll see. Yeah, if you get these glass fish, sometimes they go this way. Sometimes they go the other way. Until if he's... Actually, I think I need to switch him around. I think he does have a right side up. All right. All right. So I don't know that that's long enough, although my clasp is going to add that much. All right. Just a little short. I need to add a couple more Heishis at this end. So maybe I'll just add a couple more at both ends. All right. All right, so let's put this on our clasp. So since we have a closed loop, obviously we're going to just attach it using crimps. I don't think it matters which direction. Well, it doesn't matter which direction I string the clasp. And all these beads have big enough holes so I can put a tail on in there and tuck it in. All right, so we just attached that, and we'll use our magic crimper. So what time is it? It's ravioli time. So we center it. Oops, I got my clasp caught in there. All right. Center it in the divot, squeeze, turn 90 degrees, squeeze, and then just gently continue. All right. So we've got our tiny bead. And we can just use gravity to help us putting everything down at that end. All right, and then I am going to cut, at least an inch and a half here because I need to add a few more. Heishis here. So, now we'll get to find out if it's too short or too long. Okay. And we're going to attach the dangles at the end, okay? All right, so put my crimp on. Gonna get through that loop. Now, since I'm using a, just a hook closure, hook and loop, I don't want it too loose because then it's going to come off, right? So I want it fairly tight, so I have to pull a little. You don't want a ton of space. It actually isn't bad for me. I don't think it'll come off. I have some beadle-on ones too that I've bought. This is my old bag of seconds or something. So some of them are a little misshaped, or they have burrs on them. Okay. So now that I know it's the right length, I'm actually gonna pull it back a minute. Just because I want to tuck that end in, okay? So, to just make it easier on myself here. And I probably didn't make it long enough to go through all of those. We'll find out. Be okay if it doesn't, but it should be a lot smoother if it does. Yeah. This is one of those where I need a third hand, I think. Yeah, let's see where it's at. There it is. Let's pull that. All right, it should fit. There we go. All right, so I just wanted to make sure it made it through some beads. Remember, we push it down and then pull till we get it tight enough. Still a little strange making beachy stuff in the November, but you know. It's always beach season some places, right? All right, now we're gonna do our ravioli again. Making sure it's nice and smooth. You're in beach weather there. Well, we were until a couple days ago. Here it was very nice, but that's all right. We need it. Once the clouds clear, we'll probably have some snow up on Mount Lemon, so that's always fun. And like I said, we almost had snow here yesterday. We had a lot of hail. All right, there we go. We got our Sea Life bracelet. We got our homemade clasp. And that's what it looks like. So, you know, using colored wire, it just adds a little color there so you don't get this big block of silver. Not that I mind silver because I love my silver, and then I realized we haven't added our charms, so let's do that real quick. Where's my small pliers? So I'm going to add I'm going to put my this guy, the seahorse, on one end. So I am actually going to put this in the hole on the clasp. All right. Remember, we turn sideways and then we twist back. You never pull when you're working with jump rings. All right, so that's the one guy. Then let me get another one out because we haven't put our toggle clasp in there yet. All right, so again, I put the opening at the top, twist. If you are using jump rings that are sort of already open and you can see which direction they twist, turn it that direction. If you're a chainmailer and you're right-handed or left-handed, some places will let you order ones that are open, you know, for people that are left-handed versus right-handed. All right, and then I'm just twisting until they line up. And there we go. So, you know, adding charms also adds some color, you know, around the clasps. Sometimes that can be kind of, like I said, a block of silver, which I love silver. So, all right, let's put it on real quick, and then we will declare ourselves finished. So to put it on, you know, I can go up or down with the ring. If it's a little loose, you definitely want to like kind of push this tight. But there we go. Yay! Alright, so see if we can see it. I got some dangles and a fish. Actually goes with my outfit. So alright, as always, thanks for joining me. You know what? Maybe Sunday. We'll see what I feel like doing. But if I can't come up with something, maybe we'll make our own toggle clasp just so we can show that we can do it, right? I actually think the ring part is easier than the bar part, but you know, if you're somebody who uses your one side of your toggles for designs, you may have a lot of extra bars sitting around. So you may be able to find a bar that fits with it. I just wasn't sure I could make a small one easily, especially the bar part, but I didn't think about the fact that I might already have bars, right? All right, guys. All right, Sunday we'll be back. We'll do our drawing. I will be announcing our Black Friday holiday sale, and then we will be starting week 47, which means if you haven't started thinking about holidays, especially if you're making stuff, you're running a little behind. And I'm in that category, that I'm running a little behind on my making. Stuff that I'm ordering or buying, I think I've finished most of, but my making, I've been slowly figuring it out. You would love to learn how to make a toggle? Okay, well, maybe we'll make a toggle on Sunday then. It'll be good practice for me. So. All right. As always, if you haven't already, please send us some free love and like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. The videos all reside on YouTube after 30 days. Well, they're there sooner than that, but you won't be able to find them on Facebook once they're 30 days old. Okay? So, subscribe to YouTube, Desert Cat Creations, on all of those channels. And if you want to place an order, you're welcome to come directly to me or through our group. If you haven't already, please join our group. It's the easiest way to get hold of me, but you can direct message me at Desert Cat Creations with what you're interested in. I can help guide you if you're new and unsure what you want to buy. And then if you have any jewelry making questions, I'll do my best to answer them. I won't say I'm an expert on a lot of things, but I know enough about a lot of things to be dangerous, right? So anyways, hope to see you all on Sunday. Have a great weekend, and it'll be week 47. Okay, so 5 weeks left till the end of the year. And next week, Thanksgiving. So I won't broadcast on Thanksgiving, but I will, I'll do it Thursday or Friday. So, I don't know if you guys have a preference, whether it's Wednesday or Friday, but I will let you guys know on Sunday what my plan is. All right. Thanks again. We will see you all soon. Bye.